Hey traders, welcome to Charts and Coffee. Great to have you here. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's doing well. This is today FOMC meeting minutes Wednesday. We have a 10 a.m. Jolts hot zone. We also have this FOMC meeting minutes. Now, I get a question about what the heck is the FOMC meeting minutes? So once upon a time, it was really designed to be sort of a fly in the wall understanding of dissenting votes, how much agreement within the FOMC, the voting members, was there? How many? Well, I shouldn't leave that to just voting members, but how much in agreement are they? Were these decisions to hike or cut rates, whatever the thing is, whatever policy trend they're in at the moment, tightening cycle, hold, loosening, whatever they're doing, how much of an agreement is there, and what are the conversations that were happening sort of in the background? I would say now it's really a very well, carefully crafted message to the market that just reiterates what the FOMC wants to make sure the takeaway from their actions are. Nonetheless, whether the latter, that's my supposition, but whether the latter is true or not, nonetheless, at 2 p.m. Eastern today, we're going to get this look at the conversations behind the recent rate hikes. And is it a needle mover? It still is very much a needle mover, but where do we want to watch the needle move? Of course, there'll be volatility in the indices. There'll be volatility in bonds, gold, US dollar. It's the last three that I would definitely recommend being very cautious with because it's a little bit more direct an impact from the volatility and the psychology of the hot zone. The other place to look is a place that I've taught you all for many, many, many months now, and that is to look at the target rate probabilities of the Fed Fund futures to see if that meeting, this July 27, if the expectations are rising or falling for half point or 3/4 point hike. Is there anything that we're gleaning from the minutes that would make us change our mind about the way that we're currently positioned in the market, whether that's short or long term? This is the question that every trader and investor is asking if they're looking at that data point for volatility. So if you're day trading, it's a hot zone for the window that we trade into the afternoon. If you're trading in the morning, just keep in mind there will be a little bit of hesitation potentially regarding just how far should we take the market higher or lower before we get that 2 p.m. Eastern FOMC meeting minutes. Again, not to overlook, let's do this here real quick. Not to overlook the importance, and where is the calendar that I'm looking for? I ought to do it. Not to overlook the importance of right now. Fed member Williams is speaking. He's a permanent voting member. Voting members matter more. That's all there is to it. So always know who the voting members are. Some are permanent, some cycle in and cycle out. We have the jolts, as you can see at 10 a.m., but we also have the ISM non-manufacturing PMI. That's one to watch. And then as you can see here, there's your FOMC meeting minutes. For my crude oil traders out there, 4:30 today brings the API crude oil number. So that's the private number that's released the evening before the EIA number that we'll get tomorrow, which is the crude oil inventories. Or actually, this week it's Thursday, so I take that back because Monday was a holiday. So yeah, usually it's a Wednesday thing, just so everyone's wondering, wait a minute, Rob, we're getting API on Wednesday, not Tuesday, and we're getting crude oil inventories on Thursday, not Wednesday? Yes, because of that Monday bank holiday. All right, so that is what we're dealing with in terms of psychology this morning, gang, not just looking at all the different events on the calendar, but singling out those that we would consider high impact, high volatility, hot zones. All right, as always, gang, this show is, of course, about your questions. So let's get into them. And I'm going to get some of these charts out of the way. Going to get my, you know what? Well, this is the beginning of the notes that I'm starting for the Sector Secrets room session that starts at 9:20. We get together every Wednesday for live trading, And then we have Friday Ask Me Anything sessions. And, if you've been on the fence about whether you want to come join the Sector Secrets, Rog, what's the schedule? What kind of trading are you doing? Let me tell you, this video that I posted yesterday. So this is sitting at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel, the very channel you're likely on right now. And it's called Day Trading versus Swing versus Position Trading. Check that video out, because what it's going to give you an understanding of is the kind of trading that we focus on in the Sector Secrets room. And all three, by the way, here's the Cliff Notes version. We do all three. But if you want to know, well, Rob, what does that mean? What do those three mean to you? And how are you thinking about those? And how can I do those as well? Check the video out. It will really get you to a great start. And by the way, if you're a brand new member, I would definitely check that video out, but I put it in the notes as well. So when we get those out to members, we keep notes in the room throughout each trading day. So rather than some sort of weekly newsletter where I just touch base with you once a week on a Monday or a Sunday or a Tuesday, we can keep the conversation going based on, some of these needle moving events that happen midweek, where something that I thought could be in place Sunday by Friday may not really be, or things have changed in terms of structure. So we keep that conversation going throughout the week. All right. So having said all that, as always, great to all have you here. And first up is Isaac, who asks, what are my thoughts on ARK? So when I think about ARK, Isaac, I know that a lot of folks want to trade this, and mostly to the short side, which I would largely say is going to be an increasingly risky type short. I would look for a little bit more of a basing action, some W action, some 1, 2, 3, some overbought, oversold action within what is now a neutral trend. Is the dominant psychology still down? It is. But let's take the minority of market participation in ARK out, and let's think about the majority of market participation in ARK. The most of the people that are going to be committed to the ARK narrative are probably committed to Cathie Wood's approach. In Cathie, they trust. Hey, look, I've got positions in ARK, K, F, and Q. And my time horizon is the one that I've been, right? We listen to what Cathie Wood says about her fund. And a lot of schadenfreude with this one. It's an interesting one. I think that she's a very transparent money manager. And she's told everybody, look, I'm looking at a 5-year time horizon. So then I will too when I'm looking at this. The idea that we can trade it to the short side, I think, was probably a little bit more ripe 2-3 weeks ago, even 2 or 3 months ago. I don't look at the current neutral market trend as one that I would want to focus on to the short side. What about the long side? Well, when we go to the long side, we've got to look at the weekly chart, which is in a downtrend, and then we look at the daily chart, which is a neutral trend. I would slowly start looking for a 1, 2, 3 pattern. I would slowly start looking to the long side now through movement higher, right? Higher through the Darvis here, call it about $47. And then breaking the 55 exponential moving average, ideally all while keeping a neutral trend. So there's 2 ways you can look at it. For me, the short side is increasingly looking not appealing to bears, but more appealing to bulls. And that's the way I'm looking at ARK, right? And I hear a lot of people talking a lot of smack about Cathie Wood. And, that's probably the funniest part of it all to me. She didn't tell anybody to buy, when this thing was peaking. And yet, what do most retail investors do? Oh my gosh, look at this. It's at $155. Let's buy. This reminds us, if you're taking time here in Charts and Coffee, you are taking time to educate yourself. You are not the retail investing or trading sheeple out there watching television for insight. You're putting in the hard work, and I commend you for that. What are you going to think about? Wait till this thing goes on sale. I'm not going to chase this thing higher, right? So for those of you that are starting to bargain hunt now, kudos. It makes perfect sense. So thanks for the question, Isaac. Next up, Martha, good morning. When looking at the ES, but trading the SPY, sure, the S&P ETF SPY, which is what I recommend looking at the futures contract. But then if you want to execute the trade idea on SPY, SPX, the micro S&P MES, I would always recommend keeping an eye on the ES futures. Absolutely. So the question is, do I recommend just eyeing the technical stops and entries? I'm having trouble matching up the numbers. So the numbers are not going to match up. When I get into the ES, it validates the SPY, SPX, MES. When the ES is no longer a viable trade because it's traded through its paper cut or point of validity. Paper cut can be the percentage base that I teach. Point of validity is more of a technical level that we're going to get into more and more into the Sector Secrets room as we progress through the remainder of this year. So you have technical reasons to stay in a trade. You have a percentage-based reason that you are allowed to stay in the trade up to. But I will continue to watch the ES for that structure. But of course, SPY or SPX or however you get in, that's going to be the percentage or the paper cut based exit. So Martha, if you're focused on the paper cut, yes, that's going to be based on what you paid for the call or put in SPY. But if you're trading SPY and watching ES for validity, for example, in a day trade, it could be a combination of paper cut and that technically based point of validity. So thank you for the question. You do not have to match it up. Okay. When using your awesome layered approach, I appreciate that. When I have 4 to 6 of my layers, what's my percentage win rate? Martha, I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. I've never broke it down like that. I just look at my win rate, period, because it wouldn't be fair for me to extract out the best and say, hey, this is my win rate. So I don't do that. Sometimes I have a very clear picture at lots of the check boxes, lots of layering. And sometimes I will have maybe just 2, which is really my minimum. But as far as 4 to 6, I probably never get to that. Or I shouldn't say never, rarely get to that. But I have no idea. When I show folks my win rate, it's all the different trades. It's not sort of the hand-picked good stuff, right? Which would ultimately sort of be how that would end up, which I would find a little misleading at best. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Thank you for the question, though. Dimitri, did I play the FOMC meeting as a hot zone? So would I play that hot zone the way that you all have seen me live trade on some of the recent live streams? CPI, PCE, NFP. Can we add the alphabet soup of the FOMC to that? No, I will not. And Dimitri, mainly because the meeting minutes can be a little bit more of a prolonged. It's not a hot zone. Well, let me explain it this way. When we trade non-farm payroll, there's a headline number. We get a data dump. When we look at PCE or CPI, it's a headline number. It's a data dump. And yes, a lot of these economic events have a lot of data within them, which might take longer to get through. NFP is a great example. But I want there to be a headline number that hits. It's that headline number hitting that we are trading as a first come, first serve hot zone entry using the hourly price movement range. That's not exactly the way a meeting release would function. It's on a data release. Okay, so thanks for the question. That's a really good one. Okay, next up, I am Vi says you just joined the mastery, ready for the live trades. Vi, first of all, thank you. Welcome to the think tank. Good to have you. I'll be in there in about 5-6 minutes. Please, since you just joined, all right, if you wouldn't mind, let me suggest and tell you what I think might be a good path in. First of all, you've got some premium. I don't want to use the word premium. You've got a custom layout that we don't put in the other rooms. All the rooms have a layout that I share. You all get a juiced up one. That's a better way of putting it. You all get a juiced up one in the Sector Secrets Mastery room, which includes my Sector Secrets Stow. You get more HPMRs, and you get the ETF indices, as well as the indices futures for the HPMRs, and a couple other bells and whistles. The multi-trend, oh my gosh, how can I forget the multi-trend? You get the multi-trend as well. So download that layout first before you start, taking trades. Next, spend some time in the Learning Center and spend some time watching a video that Lorna Bot will no doubt be reminding everybody about, which is the Holy Grail video and the Advanced Holy Grail video. These two things are the most important videos that I ever share with anybody who enters the Sector Secrets room, which is how do you position size and how do you manage risk? Any other conversation falls a distant 402nd to those two. Everybody wants to know the entries and the predictions and the secret squiggles. I get it. They watch television and figure that's the way traders function. No, that's the way clickbait functions. So we go to the unsexy stuff, which is really, don't tell anybody, the real sexy stuff, which is, I don't know, does not blowing up an account sound sexy? I've never blown up an account because I follow the math that my mentor taught me decades ago. And that's the same math that I share with you all. It's ridiculously simple. Nothing algebraic about it. So check that out. And then, of course, since we have a longer session today, by the way, we'll be together for 3 hours. Normally it's a 2 hour. Well, normally it's a 9:20 to 11 o'clock session. We'll be going to noon today. And so a slightly longer session today. All right. And welcome. Good to have you. How do I get the current setup I have with the HPMRs? So EFO, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. The way you can get it now, and the best way to get it, is frankly, I'm doing a class right now. And we just finished the basic and pro level. We're in the elite level now. So you might think, Rag, I missed a live class. You can watch it on recording. No worries. In fact, I usually recommend after the live, you watch the recording. Then we have 2 days coming up of elite trading. Of the 4 trading days, the last 2 are considered elite. But more so than that, and I convinced the office to do this, and I don't know for how much longer the class is going to be available. Probably when we're done live trading, that's it. You get the class, you get all the recordings of the live trading, and you get a year of updates of my HPMRs. These do need to be updated as the volatility in the market expands and contracts. So the best way to do it right now is to do that, because once the class is over, the HPMR updates alone are going to cost as much as the class and the HPMR updates. So we kind of snuck in the HPMRs for a year included completely with the class. So that's the best way that I can phrase it. If not after the fact, we're going to have, I believe, I don't know when it's going to be, but probably by August, we'll have the regular subscription available as we continue. And we have already once expanded that premium HPMR pack. So thanks for the question. All right, next up is, do I look at Bitcoin Volt? I really don't on a regular basis. I have Bitcoin, but I don't really look at it that often. So, when I do, I'll keep that in mind, in the back of my mind, and mention it. All right, next up, Yee asks, does the Darvas line in the sand that I'm drawing on the daily chart have to be on the last closing candle? No. Yee, what I would recommend as you're learning how to draw the Darvas line in the sand on the daily time frame, because, well, if you took the class or any of my other classes, you have the Darvas signals, the Darvas 3.0 as opposed to the free version, and it has the little arrows. Use the arrows, Yee, if you have that. If not, find the most recent minor high or minor low. And if you have questions about that, ask me when I see you in the mastery. I'll be happy to point them out. All right, Brian. Yeah, sheeple. My gosh, the things that people will listen to on television and think as if those people have a crystal ball. Yeah, they're sheeple to me, Brian. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, next up is Dimitri asked, how often are they updated? So Dimitri, they are updated on average. So first I'll give you the on average, every 2 to 3 weeks. You don't want to over update them. It's kind of overkill and unnecessary, but you can't under update them either. Well, Rog, then what's the measuring stick? So what the Lorna Bot and I are always looking at, beta, volatility shifts of a certain percentage, and what stocks are working really well within their volatility structure within the HPMR, hourly price movement ranges, which is a time and volatility tool that I created about 12 years ago now. My third book, I introduced the idea of historical volatility measurements, how I use them, what the data is, and then the indicator is fueled by that. right? This historical volatility data. And we plot the zones based on that. So this is something I created a long time ago. And I've been getting questions about, Rug, is this an intraday tool only? Yes, it is an intraday. I have a daily process that at some point Lorna and I will dig into, but this is an intraday tool. If, for example, the FOMC meeting minutes kicks off a significant shift in the measurement of the volatility, we'll run a new set. If, for example, non-farm payroll this Friday, again, kicks the volatility up a notch, we'll run it. So we are constantly monitoring that tolerance to where it then mandates a new update. But on average, every 2 to 3 weeks. Of course, high impact events have the ability to have high impact volatility, and that is when we'll run fresh ones. So we're not beholden to any schedule. We're not going to be limited by that. We're not going to over update it either. As it is needed based on beta and the volatility shifts, I will continue to update and expand the list of symbols that are available. And remember, gang, having access to the sea of stocks is actually not useful at all. Because number one, it's going to encourage you to trade symbols that you may not have a lot of information about. You may not have great high quality historical volatility data. The other thing is, most of us here are options traders, right? And if you're looking at options, it's actually shocking when you start breaking down the number of ETFs and individual stocks that have liquid, tradable options chains. It takes that sea of stocks and really minimizes it to a much more manageable and smaller pool of names. And then within those smaller pool of names, I'm looking for other criteria, right? So there's a curation quality too to the way in which we put those lists together. All right, thank you for all the questions, gang. I appreciate that. No, thanks. Smash that like button. I do appreciate that very much. And thanks for all the questions. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same station. And by the way, I was just talking to the bot, just talking out loud to you all too. I've gotten maybe about 24 emails through summer asking if we could do some sort of Friday live recap, kind of the way we do charts and coffee in the morning. If I do something, say after the close for say, 15, 20, 30 minutes. I've been thinking about that. And, if that's something that you would attend, let me know here in the comments. If we have enough folks that want to do something like that on a Friday, I don't know why most people aren't just pencils down and out the door. But if you want to do something like that on a Friday, let me know. Maybe something like a trades and tea. I convert over to tea in the afternoon. So maybe some trades and tea. Let me know if that's something that you'd like to see. All right. I'll see you tomorrow, though, for Charts and Coffee at 9 a.m. Heads up for the economic calendar, and I will talk with you all soon.